Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us. Basically, this is part of our effort to, to spread the word about the UPSKILLS project. And I'm really happy to get a chance to talk to you all about it. Just to put you in the picture, UPSKILLS is basically a strategic partnership for higher education, which has been funded as an Erasmus Plus program by the European Union. It actually consists of 6 EU-funded universities: the University of Malta, University of Belgrade, University of Bologna, the University of Graz, and the University of Rijeka. And we also have a partner who is not a university, but it's a consortium, Clarin. We also have 2 associate partners who have their own funding through Swiss funds, the University of Zurich and the University of Geneva. We are actually closing in on our end date right now, but I think that now is the most important time to spread the word about everything that we've been doing. In order to introduce you a bit to the remit of the UPSKILLS project, I think I can start off by justifying a bit what challenge we were trying to face when we first conceived of the project. So apparently, as we all know, technology giants, and if we didn't, ChatGPT sort of made it everybody's business. Technology giants such as Google, Amazon, Facebook, and all sorts of multinational companies work with language data. And apparently, as we've also seen through our own needs analysis, the demand for research skills in language-related domains is constantly growing, which is actually a good thing for every student, a university student who's studying linguistics or a language-related course. University curricula in language-related disciplines, however, are rarely oriented towards skills that are needed in industry jobs or the type of research that industry is doing, and sometimes even on research that we're doing. And the problem with this is that basically students, we do groom our students in order to become experts in something, but they have the comfort zone. So it has been noted to us through our dedicated intellectual output that I will talk about in a bit, that sometimes, students do have critical thinking and problem-solving skills, but usually this lies within a very specific tiny portion of knowledge. So they lack critical thinking and problem-solving skills, as well as knowledge of research design and data analysis that lies outside their own domain of specialization. And generally, because we are dealing with students with a more humanistic background, they generally lack other skills that have to do with digital literacy, computational literacy, and project management skills. So in order to address this challenge, which we think is a real one and actually an ever-growing one these days, the goal of the project, we set up the project in order to identify and tackle the gaps and mismatches in skills of linguistics and language students. And in order to do that, we have designed a new curriculum component and a lot of supporting material around this component that can be embedded in existing and new university curricula. So our main target audience would be academics, but this is of obvious interest to students as well. In terms of the work that we've been doing for the past 3 years, 2.5, closing in on 3 now. Our work was divided into 4 intellectual outputs. We conducted the needs analysis, which actually gave us what I already presented to you to a certain extent. Then we have another intellectual output that's dedicated to creating guidelines for research-based teaching rather than lecture-based teaching. We created learning content, and we also, as I will say very briefly very soon, try to develop a few educational games that will help make the learning a bit more fun and more active for the students themselves. So when it comes to the needs analysis, actually, it wasn't just a literature review. Apart from the literature review, we did survey curricula across the European Union. There is also a very nice resource for everyone who's interested in getting online material that are free to use on our website too. We went through an analysis, a corpus-based analysis of job advertisements in the language industry. We also handed out a questionnaire to language industry experts, and we ended up also doing focus group interviews with representatives from the industry. So this lack of critical skills and problem solvers outside the comfort zone is actually something that came out from our discussions with the industry, rather than from our usual perception of how universities work. The result of the needs analysis was that we managed to develop a new profile for graduates of linguistics and language courses, which actually matches sort of the needs of the industry. And okay, we identified a whole host of different tasks and responsibilities that someone can do when they have a degree in linguistics or a language-related field. And then we identified 4 basic areas of skills that someone needs to do in order to be considered extra hireable in today's market. We're talking about data-oriented skills, so data-oriented tasks that they would need to take on, technical tasks, organizational tasks, and research-oriented tasks. And in this vein, we also zoomed in on the skills that people need, that students, graduates of our courses would need to have in order to complete these skills. And again, here we have now 7 categories of skills. So we have the disciplinary ones, which we think are very, very much covered by what universities are doing. I think intercultural skills are also covered to a certain extent. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but it should be there as well. But then there are also transversal skills, technical skills, organizational skills, and perhaps data-oriented skills, which is something that is currently lacking to a certain extent from a lot of university curricula, because usually students learn how to use data or analyze data, but not exactly how to collect and organize the data in order to conduct the research and whatnot. As a result of this, we developed this language specialist, language project and data specialist profile that we invite all academics, of course, to have a look at in order to identify what is needed in today's market. Then when it comes to the second intellectual output, we decided to focus on, again, this is something that we had identified as a gap in current teaching. We wanted to focus on the process rather than the results of research by involving students as active participants rather than as audience. So we tried to, we piloted actually a number of courses that started off with the premise that the student needs to complete a project and they're figuring out what they need to do as they go along. This obviously would have the benefit of managing to include the ongoing research of the own lecturer of the lecturer into the ongoing teaching experience of the students, which makes things more engaging for both parties. Then we also tried and incorporated some industry-based research into our teaching. So basically, we have 6 actually at the moment language industry partners or associate partners in the project with whom we developed some training materials and research-based tasks that focus on industry workflows. Then the aim was to provide guidance to students in order to pursue their own research agenda, and also guidance about how students and academics alike can incorporate and use existing research infrastructures in their teaching, obviously, and students in their own work, because there's a host of data out there, but typically, when we have a class, we ask our students to go and collect their own material rather than see what's already out there and see how they can complement what's out there. On the basis of all of this prior research, we developed actually 11. It's way more than we originally envisaged when we applied for the project. Learning blocks, where the emphasis is basically on active learning. And by active learning, we mean that the students are more involved rather than following a lecture. They're more involved in doing something and figuring things out on themselves. And as you can see from the list here, there are, introductory stuff like, how to do research, how to think analytically, entrepreneurship stuff as well, or a linguistic theory block too. Then we had data processing blocks as well. And one of them is what Tihana is going to be talking to you about, which is related to bilingualism as well. And then we also had some technical some blocks. We have some blocks that help students develop technical skills. So basically, the idea here is that we created all these materials, and we are very happy to share it with the academic community under Creative Commons license, so you can freely use, adapt, and do whatever you want with them. If anything, this could serve also as inspiration for your own classes, even if you don't want to take them all on board. And finally, when it comes to the educational games, and I'm hoping people are taking out their mobiles, because you can register for our presentation of the educational games next Tuesday, if you want to, by clicking on this QR code here. The idea behind the educational games was that we wanted to also creates some, to also provide some pedagogical input to higher education tuition. And basically, as we all know, when it comes to traditional lecturing, usually this is modularly delivered, and usually it's delivered in big, ugly, rather unpleasant lumps where the lecturer is just sitting in front of the students and giving out the materials. Whereas in the case of, in our case, we wanted to promote the use of educational games as they provide unique cognitive stimulation and motivation, as well as opportunities for us, the academics, for the students, as well as opportunities for us, the academics, to continuously and automatically assess a learner's ability and progress. So the idea behind this particular intellectual output was to adapt educational games that can fit our goals, and also to implement free off-the-shelf games in our materials and gamify our learning content wherever possible, so as to make the experience a bit better for the students too. And again, we have a whole host of things coming up there, which we will be presenting as a consortium live from Malta next week. This is a hybrid event, so you don't need to be in Malta. You can actually audit from abroad too. And finally, when it comes to the impact or what we hope to do with this overall project, before I give the floor to Tihana, our idea, basically, I mean, the original plan for this was that we wanted to prepare our students for the reality of the job market. And I think that anyone who's teaching a humanities-based course faces this issue when a student comes over and says, okay, I can be a teacher, but then what else can I do, right? And actually right now, linguistics graduates can even join, I don't know, Google or whatever have you. Another very important part of this, and this is, I think, what we're trying to do here today as well, is to sensitize academics with respect to the skills that employers are looking for. Yes, we are investing our time and teaching in research and creating researchers and academic, diligence and whatnot. But at the same time, we need to also take into account that these people who graduate from us will probably need to find a job, and it would be good if they worked within the language industry sector. So it would be good to try and combine the two aspects. We also want to raise awareness among employers about the skills and aptitude that our graduates have, because typically Google and Facebook and whatnot, even though this is changing slowly, are looking for computer engineers, and that's not necessarily, the task for a computer engineer. And then obviously, to create the learning content which will promote active and task-based learning, and to basically share it with the academic community so that it's implemented in different curricula on a need-be basis. I hope I didn't take too much time. Tihana, the floor is yours, and you should be able to control the.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Stavros. So I will take over now. I hope you can hear me. Okay, excellent.
Now we can't, for some reason.
Oh, no?
Now we can. Sorry.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good. I'll try to move the screen. I'm not succeeding right now. Okay, I did. Perfect. Okay, so what I'll do now is give you a somewhat deeper insight into our IO3, which deals with learning content. And this is an overview of the learning content blocks that we developed within IO3. And this is a screenshot from the project website, which directs you to different learning blocks. You can, by means of the QR code, you can actually access this page. I will present into some detail the learning block that I collaborated on, which is called collecting language data from human participants. And the reason that I'll do that, apart from the fact that I'm familiar with it, I'm trying to move the screen, but I can't. Okay, now I did it. Good. Is that okay? I think that the topic of this learning block, collecting language data from human participants, is most relevant for the audience of this forum. So the authors of this learning block, apart from me, is my colleague Martina Podboj from the University of Rijeka and her colleague Marko Simonovic from the University of Graz. This is a screenshot again of the project website, which you get if you click on the icon representing our learning block. And from this page, you can access Moodle. you can access Moodle, where all our learning materials are available to everyone. So you just need to register for a learning block, and then you'll get access to all the materials that I'll present, that some of which I'll present today. Okay, so who are the target users of our learning block? In a similar fashion to the other learning blocks, it's mainly university teachers and other individuals who teach about the collection of data from human participants in linguistics. And in the case of our learning block, it's mainly those who teach in the areas of morphophonology and morphosyntax, second language acquisition, and sociolinguistics. Students can also access and use the materials on their own, but they should be aware and they should be warned that this is not a self-study course. The learning block is structured into, we need to go back, one step back. Okay, it's structured into 4 modules, which are complemented by 2 student projects. The workload, which is foreseen for this learning block, is 6 ECTS points for the content of the 4 modules, and additional optional 6 ECTS points for the students who wish to conduct the projects. So 3 ECTS points for each. Here you can see which modules are part of this learning block. The first module is a general one. The second one is the one devoted to word level phenomena. The third one is devoted to second language acquisition. And the fourth one deals with sociolinguistics. The 2 student projects, or in other words, detailed instructions for students how to conduct their own projects, deal with irregular phonological alternations. So it's the domain of morphophonology. And the second one deals with second language acquisition, and it focuses L2 acquisition of English morphosyntax. Okay, the learning block consists of thematic units. This is not immediately obvious from the front page of the Moodle page of our content block, which you can see now. Here it's a screenshot, but we also have a user guide which tells you which thematic unit belongs to which module. So the top 3 thematic units: Introduction to Collecting Data from Human Participants, Ethics in Linguistic Research with Human Participants, and Population Sampling in Linguistic Research Projects, are part of the general module. The 2 block of units devoted to judgment tasks and production tasks are part of the word level phenomena module. Then we have 3 thematic units which are part of the SLA module, the one devoted to comprehension tasks, the one devoted to production tasks, and the one devoted to acceptability judgment tasks. And we also have 3 thematic units which are part of the sociolinguistic module, and they deal with ethnographic fieldwork, with a sociolinguistic interview, and with surveys and questionnaires in sociolinguistics. As I said, there are also 2 student projects, and we also have some project ideas for the summer school that we will hold in Petnica in Serbia this summer. Okay, so here are the learning outcomes which the students who complete our learning block will achieve. We believe that the students will be able to explain what data sources are used in linguistic research, to choose a suitable method to collect language data from human participants, to apply ethical principles and practices to collect language data from human participants, and to sample participants in linguistic research projects. This is what they will be able to do if they complete the general module. If they complete the word level phenomena module, they will be able to design a judgment task and also an elicited production task targeting a word level phenomena. If they complete the SLA module, they will be able to design an experimental task to test comprehension, to test production, and to elicit acceptability judgments about the second language. And finally, if they complete the sociolinguistic module, they will be able to plan and conduct ethnographic fieldwork for a small-scale sociolinguistic study, to plan and conduct data collection through linguistic interviews, and to plan and conduct data collection through surveys and questionnaires in sociolinguistics. The thematic units are structured in a rather similar way. All of them contain a PowerPoint presentation accompanied by detailed notes for teachers and a handout for students, or by an audiovisual recording. They all contain at least one reading assignment, at least one research assignment, a reading list, and a summative quiz. Most units also contain a warm-up activity, and some units contain a lesson plan. And now I will briefly show you very quickly what is contained in one of the thematic units within the SLA module. So the thematic unit is comprehension tasks in SLA. So here you can see the warm-up activity. It's a list of questions to be discussed with students in the classroom, and some of the expected answers that we expect from them. Also, there is, I'm trying to move the presentation. Okay, there is also a PowerPoint presentation with detailed notes for teachers, which explains what tasks exist, what tasks test comprehension in SLA, and how to design them. Then we also have a detailed handout for students, which contains the content of the PowerPoint presentation transformed into a different format. We also have a reading list with all the sources which we believe are useful for this topic. We have a reading assignment 1, which asks students to read 3 published studies on the topic and to compare them along different parameters. All the studies should use the same type of comprehension task in SLA. We also have a different, another reading assignment in which students have to identify 5 advantages and 5 disadvantages of the 4 types of comprehension tasks that they will be told, they're taught about in this thematic unit. And finally, they have to do a research exercise in which they're guided through the design of their own comprehension task in SLA, in the process of which they have to fill in this table. And finally, there is a summative quiz, which consists of 10 multiple choice questions. This is just, you know, there are just 4 questions here, but there are more, and it exists in the digital format, but also in a Word document format. So this is all that we wanted to tell you. Please don't forget to check out our website, and you're open for questions now.